MiG-29 Fulcrum. The MiG-29 is the Soviet Union's answer to a very specific question. What if you built a fighter jet that could kill you before the enemy even got a chance? Introduced in 1982, NATO called it the Fulcrum, and the name fits. This thing was designed to be the pivot point of Soviet air defense, cheap enough to build in bulk, dangerous enough to make Western pilots nervous. It's a twin-engine, highly agile dogfighter that can pull maneuvers that would make a commercial pilot black out permanently. The party trick? Its helmet-mounted sight lets pilots look at a target, blink, and essentially say, "Missile, go there." Russia still flies around 85 of them, and despite being decades old, the Fulcrum is the kind of aircraft that refuses to become irrelevant. MiG-31 Foxhound. If the MiG-29 is a street fighter, the MiG-31 is a long-range assassin in a suit, built specifically to hunt down cruise missiles, high-altitude spies, and anything else dumb enough to think altitude equals safety. The Foxhound is one of the fastest combat aircraft ever to enter service, capable of hitting Mach 2.8, which is roughly the speed at which your airframe starts having opinions about whether it wants to stay together. Its massive Zaslon radar was, at the time of its introduction, the first phased array radar ever fitted to a fighter. Today, the MiG-31BM variant carries the Kinzhal hypersonic missile, essentially strapping a weapon that Russia claims reaches Mach 10, though Western analysts put it closer to Mach 4 to 5, to a plane that already flies faster than almost anything it would encounter. Russia operates around 130 of them, and every single one is a problem.
MiG-35 Fulcrum-F. The MiG-35 is what happens when Russia tries to build a modern MiG-29 and the budget keeps changing mid-project. Technically a Generation 4++ aircraft, it carries an active phased array radar, improved avionics, and the ability to fire a wide range of air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons. On paper, it competes with the Eurofighter and the Fa-18 Super Hornet. In reality, only 6 have entered Russian service as of 2022, which is fewer jets than some private collector zone. Whether the MiG-35 becomes a meaningful part of Russia's fleet or an expensive footnote depends entirely on how seriously the Kremlin decides to fund it. Right now, it's a very capable aircraft, patiently waiting for someone to actually order more of them.
Su-27 Flanker. The Su-27 is the aircraft that made Western Air Forces genuinely uncomfortable when they first saw it perform at air shows in the late 1980s. Big, beautiful, and vicious, the Flanker was designed to outrange and outmaneuver the F-15, and in certain scenarios, it actually could. With a massive internal fuel load and long-range R-27 missiles, it could fly escort missions deep into enemy territory without needing a tanker. The Su-27 SM and SM-3 upgrades gave it modern avionics and multi-role capability, turning a pure air superiority fighter into something far more versatile. Russia still operates over 100 across various variants. Every modern Russian fighter you'll see in this list, the Su-30, Su-33, Su-34, Su-35, traces its DNA directly back to this one aircraft. The Flanker didn't just enter service, it started a family. Su-30 Flanker-H. Think of the Su-30 as the Su-27 that went to graduate school, got a second engine management system, and came back with thrust vectoring. Introduced into Russian service in 2012, the Su-30 SM is a twin-seat, super-maneuverable multi-role fighter that can handle air-to-air combat, precision strike, and maritime patrol, sometimes on the same mission. The front seat flies the aircraft, the back seat manages the weapons and sensors, which means there's a dedicated human being whose entire job is to make the other pilot's kill cleaner. Russia operates well over 100, with new SM-2 variants still being delivered as of 2024. It's not flashy in the way the Su-57 is, but it's reliable, combat-proven, and the backbone of Russian tactical aviation in a way that actually holds up under pressure.
Su-33 Flanker-D. The Su-33 exists because aircraft carriers are useless without jets, and Russia really wanted an aircraft carrier to be useful. Derived from the Su-27, the Flanker-D was reinforced for carrier operations, given folding wings, an arresting hook, and a stronger undercarriage to survive the kind of landings that happen on a moving deck in rough seas. It entered service in 1998 aboard the Admiral Kuznetsov, Russia's only carrier, a ship whose own history deserves its own documentary. The Su-33 is a capable air superiority fighter, but carrier operations have been patchy at best, and the fleet has shrunk to roughly 14 operational aircraft. It's a reminder that having a carrier-based fighter program requires a working carrier, which has proven harder than expected.
Su-35S Flanker-E. The Su-35 is the closest Russia has to a perfect fourth-generation aircraft, and by several measures, it exceeds that label entirely. It has no flight control laws telling the pilot, you can't do that. It does things in the air that look physically implausible, nose-pointing maneuvers at low speed, Pugachev's Cobra performed without drama, directional changes that seem to ignore momentum entirely. Its Irbis E radar can detect targets at up to 350 kilometers. Its L-175V jamming system makes targeting it from the outside deeply unpleasant. Russia has delivered around 130 of them, and when Russian pilots are sent into contested airspace against serious opposition, the Su-35 is generally what they're flying. It's not a fifth-generation aircraft, but it was built specifically to kill fifth-generation aircraft, and it takes that job seriously. Su-57 Felon. The Su-57 is Russia's only stealth fighter, and it has been almost ready for so long that people started to wonder if it would ever actually arrive. It arrived. 29 have been delivered as of late 2024, with 52 on order, numbers that are modest compared to the F-35 program, but significant for a country managing a war economy. The Su-57 carries its weapons internally to preserve its radar cross-section, uses advanced avionics, including an AI-assisted targeting system, and features supercruise capability, meaning it can go supersonic without burning afterburner. It has appeared over Ukraine in a limited capacity, launching long-range missiles from outside air defense range, which tells you something about how Russia views both its value and its vulnerability. It's Russia's most advanced aircraft. What it isn't, yet, is Russia's most numerous one. Su-24M Fencer. The Su-24 is old, and it knows it. Entering service in 1975, it was designed as a low-level, high-speed strike aircraft that could punch through NATO air defenses by flying so fast and so low that radar would struggle to track it before the bombs were already falling. It worked. For decades, the Fencer was the primary deep-strike aircraft in the Soviet and then Russian inventory. The M variant added precision-guided munitions capability. The M2 improved that further, but the Su-24 has been losing numbers steadily to age, to accidents, and to the war in Ukraine, where it has suffered significant attrition. Russia still operates several dozen, but the Su-34 is its designated replacement, and the clock on the Fencer has been ticking for years. What keeps it flying is the same thing that kept it relevant for 5 decades. It does exactly what it was built to do, and it's not done yet.
Su-25 Frogfoot. The Su-25 is the aircraft that ground troops call when the situation is bad and getting worse. Built in the 1970s around a very simple philosophy: fly low, fly slow, survive ridiculous amounts of punishment, and put weapons precisely where the infantry needs them. The Frogfoot is Russia's equivalent of the A-10. It's armored, redundant, and designed with the understanding that close air support means flying where people are actively trying to shoot you down. The engines are separated to ensure a single hit doesn't kill both. The cockpit is surrounded by a titanium tub. Even the fuel system is designed to keep functioning after being punctured. The Su-25SM and SM-3 upgrades added modern avionics, a heads-up display, and improved targeting. It has been the most heavily used Russian combat aircraft over Ukraine, which also means it has taken the most losses. It keeps flying anyway. That's what it was built for. Su-34 Fullback. If there's one Russian aircraft that has defined the war in Ukraine from the air, it's the Su-34, a side-by-side twin-seat fighter-bomber that looks slightly wide from the front and absolutely purposeful from every other angle. The Fullback was designed to replace the Su-24 as Russia's primary strike aircraft, and it has done exactly that with a ruthlessness that nobody planned for.
Its cockpit is spacious enough that the crew can stand up, walk to a small galley, and make food on long missions. More relevantly, it carries a wide range of precision-guided munitions, has an electronic warfare suite capable of jamming enemy radar, and can defend itself in air-to-air combat well enough that escort fighters aren't always required. The Su-34M variant added improved sensors and expanded weapons compatibility. Russia has been taking losses and taking deliveries simultaneously, replacing shot-down aircraft faster than some analysts expected. The Fullback isn't just Russia's bomber, it's the centerpiece of Russian tactical air power as it exists right now, today.
Tu-22M3 Backfire. The Tu-22M3 exists to make admirals nervous. Designed in the 1970s as a long-range supersonic bomber capable of launching anti-ship missiles from distances that outrange most carrier-based air defenses, the Backfire was built to sink NATO naval formations before they could project power into Soviet waters. It carries up to 3 Kh-22 or newer Kh-32 cruise missiles, each capable of hitting a ship with enough force to end the conversation permanently. With a combat radius of around 2,400 kilometers and a top speed approaching Mach 2, the Backfire doesn't need to get close to be lethal. Russia operates around 60 of the M3 variant, and the aircraft has been used in Ukraine for conventional bombing missions, a role it was never really designed for, but manages with the kind of blunt efficiency that comes from being large, fast, and carrying a lot of explosives. Tu-95MS Bear. The Tu-95 is a turboprop strategic bomber that has been flying since 1956 and is currently outlasting several countries that existed when it was designed. 4 massive counter-rotating propellers, the loudest propellers on any military aircraft ever built, drive it through the air at speeds that defy what propellers are supposed to be capable of. It's not fast. It's not stealthy. What it is a delivery system for cruise missiles that don't need to get anywhere near a target to destroy it. The Tu-95MS carries Kh-101 and Kh-55 cruise missiles with ranges of up to 3,500 kilometers, which means the Bear can launch from deep inside Russian airspace, land, refuel, and the missiles are still in flight. Russia operates around 60, and they have been launching cruise missile salvos at Ukraine regularly since 2022. The Bear is loud, old, and absolutely still in the business of strategic deterrence.
The Tu-160 Blackjack is the largest and heaviest combat aircraft ever built. That is not a controversial claim. It is a fact that sits at the center of every conversation about this airplane, because when you see one, nothing else about it requires further explanation. Weighing in at over 275 tons at maximum takeoff, with a wingspan that changes depending on what speed you're flying, the Blackjack is a variable sweep supersonic strategic bomber capable of reaching Mach 2 while carrying 12 Kh-101 or Kh-55 cruise missiles internally. Russia operates around 16 of the original variant, with the modernized Tu-160M adding new avionics and engines and continuing to roll off the production line, making it one of the only Cold War-era strategic bombers still in active production anywhere in the world. When Russia wants to send a message that doesn't require subtlety, it sends the Tu-160. The message is usually received.